Another topic that I think is near and dear to every trader is stop, no stop. So I come down obviously on hard stop. I'm a scalper. There's nothing. But what I will do is I'll stop, I'll go again, I'll stop, I'll go again. I'll hit me again, hit me again, hit me again. But I will always do it with a stop. How do you approach your trading?
I mean, I don't know how you could trade S&P or NASDAQ without a stop. I mean, I think it's crazy if you are.
Sometimes people will say, well, I'll come in here, and if it comes in, I'll add a little bit more because I heard Tracy talk.
So like a mental stop. I mean, yeah. I do that sometimes in the S&P, not really in the NASDAQ, because usually if I put a stop in the NASDAQ, I'm putting it wide enough, and I don't even care if they one tick me because I've been burned too many times not to have it. But that's why a lot of times I've been using options now, just because if I want to be in an area. I've been trading some NASDAQ options lately as well. I like them because I don't have to use a stop. I just bought the trade. And so I can try and make it work. But if I'm trading any sort of future, I mean, the only time I won't have a stop on is if I'm trying to like turn and burn something real quick. And I know that I don't want to basically have a hard stop because it's just too fast for me to do it, which is rare, then I wouldn't put it in. But mentally, I know where it is, and I'm disciplined enough to just burn out of it if I have to. But that's a rarity.
Interesting. Yeah. NASDAQ reminds me of that South Park episode where the guy goes, and it's gone. Like where the guy like gives money, and it's gone, and it's gone. That's like if you don't have a stop in NASDAQ, and it's gone. What about you, Jimmy? Stop or no stop? And I know you're coming from an options perspective, and so I'd love to hear your nuanced view on all of this stuff.
And I'm with Tony on this. Options are a great way to have a natural stop in, especially if you're, buying a put spread or buying a call spread, you're defined your risk, what you've laid out, what kind of premium. But when I'm trading futures, I usually put in a stop that's like outside of where I want my stop to be. Just for like that blowout risk that just, something really silly happens. Right. And then I have my mental stop and I watch the action, because a lot of times it'll be like a timing thing just as much as where the market, is trading. If it lingers too long, if I feel like it's an area that, the market should tap it and go, or, so I do have there is a mental stop. I don't have hard stops. My hard stops are outside my mental stops. Right. In order not to get totally yoked on a ripper, so I'm covered. I'm a stop guy. I'm covered, but
Right. So you have an emergency. You have an emergency stop. You have like an emergency stop. Yeah. And then I'm just curious on an intraday trade. What would be an emergency stop on the S&P? 50 points below, 30 points below.
Probably 15 handles, 10, 15 handles,
that's not a lot.
No. And you know what though? I'm pretty, like when I come into an area, I know I'm usually pretty accurate. If I'm 10, 15 handles away from where I should be, my thesis is probably wrong. I'm just probably in the wrong area.
Got it. Interesting.
And there's also time. I also have a time stop in my head too. Like if it's not working, I'm with Jimmy. My buffer is always a little bit outside my stop, and so I kind of account for that because I'll probably blow out of it before it gets to my stop if it's not working. But I really do have a time stop. I used to look at a timer. I don't anymore because I've stretched my time horizon out a little bit. But if I get into something and I see that it's just not working or it's like churning against me, then a lot of times I just blow out of it too.
What's a reasonable time stop for you on intraday basis? Let's say on NASDAQ, is it 30 minutes? If it's not working within 30 minutes?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm really only doing 1 to 2 trades a day. So, I mean, if it's not working, I would say I would say in the first, I don't want to say immediately, but it's like, I know if I buy an area, go back to what Jimmy said, if I feel that I'm pretty accurate and it's just not working, like if I buy something, it's just like, all of a sudden it sits there and it's just grinding against me, or it's just whipping around an area and I look at the action, I don't let things play out too long if the initial response is not what I wanted to see. If the initial response is what I want to see, then I'm aggressively I'm adding more. or I'm even trimming it. If it's not what I wanted, I might be trimming it off towards my stop. And so there's that as well.
Interesting. Tracy, what about you? Because I know you're obviously trading, I think, a little bit on a longer term basis. How do you handle the issue of stop, no stop?
Yeah, I do handle a kind of a longer term basis than just scalping anymore. But I, again, I use options just like that, particularly with oil, because I just think it's been range bound and it's been a better trade for me to do options on oil lately. But as far as the stop is concerned, I have a mental stop. So where I want to be. But again, I'm swing trading. So
you don't necessarily like
a lot more room.
Swing trading, that means you're like holding for sometimes maybe a week, right? It's not like you're going to get knocked out in a half an hour. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay. Because you're trading sort of like like longer term moves in oil and gold. Like and I talked about gold. We'll talk a little bit more about it. How you're obviously trading for like the 3,000 level, not for the next $20 level kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.